guest speakers. Joel Kuchera, okay, from Vital Waters, perfect. And I think I mentioned to you and his team, which I'm going to have him introduce. So that's really exciting to have guest speakers bring people to come as part of their team. I had the chance to meet a couple of Joel's team at the Business Excellence Award, and as I mentioned, he was a finalist in the small business category, which is a pretty amazing accomplishment. And through listening and hearing Joel talk about not only the business and the products they sell, but also the reason why they started this business, made me think that he'd be appropriate to speak here in class to talk about what he's trying to achieve through his business and why he thinks it's important to focus on. And maybe a little bit, I'm hoping we'll hear about where he hopes to go with the business. So please welcome Joel and his team.
Thank you for having us here today. I don't know if any of you have listened to the radio ever and you've ever heard, "Hi, it's Joel from Vital Waters" on the radio. Possibly.
There you go.
We got a lot of that kind of stuff going on. So today I wanted to have a real interactive conversation with you guys. Definitely going to get into some Vital, what Vital is, what we're doing, where we're going to go with that. But also, what I want to give you guys is some gems, so that you can have some things that are going to impact your life. So where I want to really start is, how long is this program that you're taking? 3 months. So if there's something that you could learn in the next hour, no matter what it is, that would be worth the whole price of admission and your time, energy, and money that it costs you to be here, just want to keep that in your mind for the next few minutes. And if you have up to 3 of those, we definitely, if it's in my power to kind of shed some light on that, I would love to. So anything that you may want to learn, obviously this class, I believe, is called Social Entrepreneurship. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in regards to this program, but something that you could learn that I could possibly teach in a very short period of time that would be worth taking the whole program. Or even worth today, or whatever the way you want to look at it. I think one of the most important aspects to your life is the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today, you may or may not have seen this before, but this is my perfect circle. It's pretty perfect, right? Perfect in its imperfection. Let's just say that all the knowledge in the universe is in this perfect circle. Okay? And let's just say that let's be fair, let's just say that this is what we know. So let's just say that this is what we don't know. And then my really favorite part is that what would the rest be?
What we don't know, we don't know.
Exactly. So my goal in this hour and 15 minutes that I have you guys is to teach you as much of what you don't know as possible. And where I want to start in that, and also give you guys the opportunity. Anyone have anything that they would want to learn today that they don't currently know that would be of interest to you learning?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Totally. Well, anything in regards to money or finances or anything you can think of, but we'll come back to that. And just have your mind stirring on that for a minute. And unless you got something, it sounds like you might have something.
Well, price of admission, debt management. If I could learn how to do that really well.
Debt management?
That would be worth 400, 500, 600, 700, whatever. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we can definitely talk about that. Of course, there's good debt and there's bad debt. And I don't have any debt. So it's a nice place to be. But that's definitely not where I started. So, let's start from the beginning. So I was born. You guys were all born too, I presume? Not hatched, I hope. Anyway, and I was born, I was 4 pounds, 11 ounces. I was like this little kind of tiny monkey. just this little dude, like a good fit. Actually, there was no bed for me, so I just kind of fit in a drawer. Yeah, because I came really early, right? I was just like, I gotta, take on the world kind of thing. So I was 6 weeks premature, so I was a real small guy. I sure made up for it, as you can tell. But it was quite interesting. I had a zest for life. Everything was going along pretty good. And then I hit kindergarten. And kindergarten was going pretty good. I thought I was doing pretty awesome. And then it was time for me to go to grade 1. And they're like, you gotta take kindergarten again. I'm like, I gotta take kindergarten again? Really? Yeah. So I'm actually the guy that took kindergarten twice. Make a long story short, because we only have so little time today. I went to 12 schools in 12 years. I was actually told I would never learn how to read, never learn how to write, and ironically, that I should take a work program and become a carpenter. Well, I like Jesus and all, but I'm not into the carpentry thing, so I didn't go there. But I kind of proved them wrong, in grade 12. I got some A's, and I actually graduated a semester early, so I didn't have to finish that. But one of the greatest challenges I had in my life at that point is that I cared what people thought, and I really wanted people's approval in my life. I don't know if you guys can relate to that at all. It was so important to me, I would do anything for it. And I always now look at my life, and I'm very careful about the questions that I ask because you might get the answer. And this is the question that I asked right after high school. And it's a little vulgar, but I'll just say it the way that it was. It said, no one seems to give a fuck about what's going on this planet, so why should I? Well, be careful what you wish for, because I found out why. And what happened next in my life is an unbelievable story that's lasted about the last 15 years. I won't get into all the details, but where it started was 6 weeks after I graduated high school. I was looking at spending the rest of my life in prison. And of course it ends to being right now in this moment. But what I have learned in the last 15 years is there's nothing you can't do, okay? The only restriction on what you can do is based on what you think you can do, or what you think you can't do. Okay, now I grew up very differently. We all have that inner conversation in our head, that one that says you're not good enough, that one that says, what the hell are you doing, or mine was you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're a fuck up. All those kind of things would, come into my brain. Now I don't really have that anymore, and that's not the voice you want to listen to. The voice you want to listen to, by the way, is the voice that hears you call yourself these things and knows it's not true and actually observes you hearing that to yourself. That's the voice you want to listen to. The one that hears you call yourself that and goes, I know it's not true. But anyway, we have a lot of programming that we get into, and I know I've had it. And so for me personally, I know what it's like to be imprisoned in the mind and free of the body, and I know what it's like to be imprisoned in the body and free of the mind. And I can tell you, I would rather be imprisoned in the body and free of the mind. It's far better experience in life. And I will give you the opportunity to ask questions, and we do only have a short period of time, so I want to give you guys a lot of value in this talk that I'm going to give you today. So, one of the things, anyone familiar with The Secret or What the Bleep Do We Know or any of these kind of things?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that stuff?
I think it's interesting. I think it's, there's some weight to it for sure.
Right.
Positive self-talk and whatever, it's definitely more constructive than negative.
Right. Well, you know what? It's quite interesting. We're going to start here because this is something that's made very complicated in our world today. And it's not. Anyone see that before?
Once or twice.
Does anyone tell me what that really means?
Energy equals mass 2 times constant squared.
What does it mean, though?
It's the law for the speed of light.
Does anyone really answer what this means? How about you in the back? Dr. Roger Drinkwater.
Energy and mass are interchangeable.
Energy and mass are interchangeable. When people talk to me about the nature of reality, one of the most interesting things that I say is like, this thing you have all the time, your cell phone, do you understand how it works? Well, mine's on the back table, so I can't even show it to you. But if you understand the technology that's in that cell phone, you can start to understand the technology that makes up you. Okay? The average human being uses about how much of their brain today?
10%.
How much?
10%?
That's a very high number. But let's say it is 10%. Let's give the benefit of the doubt that we use 10% of our brain. The question then becomes, what's the 90% that you're not using for? Does it hold up your hair to you, your beautiful eyes? Like, what's this thing for? Right? Well, let me tell you, it is to be used. It can be used. It's not very profitable if you do use it. World, not to be a conspiracy guy, but if you ever notice anyone out there, let's have peace and harmony on the planet and help our fellow man and stuff like that. All of a sudden you hear a bullet ring out somewhere. Have you kind of noticed that? Out there, JFK, Martin Luther King, Tupac, Biggie. Anyway, it's not profitable. And so the journey of my life, you know, I came to a place where I had to really look at it. And I had to go, okay, what's the point of it? And where do I want to go with it? Because I've lived a life where I know what it's like to be someone that everyone wants to be, but I also know what it's like to be someone no one wants to be. I know what it's like to have all the money in the world and all the freedom in the world. And I know what it's like to be dead up to my eyeballs and every kind of experience in between. But do you think any of that stuff made me happy? I mean, one of the biggest challenges we have in this world is, and what starts young, you know, I have a 13-year-old son right now, and he'll be happy when this happens, he'll be happy when that happens. You know, first, you know, you're happy, you know, I'll be happy when I get my driver's license. Then you'll be happy when you graduate school. You'll be happy when you can go to the bar. You'll be happy, maybe, you know, when you get married. Then it becomes, I'll be happy when I get a divorce. And the reality is, you got to be happy now. There's only one constant in the universe at all times, three. So that is one constant being change. You can embrace change, and you can embrace life, or not. And if not, you can have a lot of headaches, because that's the one constant in life is change. But the one constant with you all the time that never changes, no matter where you go and what happens in your life, you are always here, and the time is always now. And that, we have most human beings on this planet are living in the past or living in the future. And they don't realize that their power is now, and only now. So, this is something in regards to this. This is another formula. It's C plus E equals R. Okay? In the last 15 years of my life, I've made the impossible possible over and over again, where people said there's just no way that that can be done. And if someone told me that it can't be done, do you think I listened to them? Absolutely not. It probably made me work harder to get it done. Okay? Let's see. I went from a guy that was looking to spend 25 years in prison to a guy that did go to the penitentiary, to a guy that got out of the penitentiary, and within a year of finishing my sentence, I had retired. What I mean by retired is I had enough money coming in residually that I could sit on the beach for the rest of my life and not give a damn or do anything. Now, how valuable do you think that is to my life? Well, it's valuable in the fact that I'm not in fear and I'm not in survival. I don't have to think about my basic needs every day. So what it gives me the ability to do is be uncorruptible, because I don't care about money. People that care about money are the people that don't have it. In the sense of, if you ever notice, like, politicians. I mean, you know, I don't care who we talk about as far as a politician, but you ever notice they'll say whatever you want to hear, and you're like, yeah, let's vote for them, and then all of a sudden they get in power, and it's like, I didn't say that. End war. What are you talking about? Be transparent. What are you talking about? I didn't say any of that kind of stuff. But money seems to be, you know, people say that money is the root of all evil. I disagree. Money is a tool. I think the love of money, to sell your soul for a couple pieces of plastic, a couple pieces of bronze, a couple pieces of silver, a couple pieces of gold. There's some things that money can't buy. For everything else, please don't use your MasterCard. But this little equation here is the most important equation that I've ever learned in my life. And this means, what do you think the C might mean? Any guesses?
Change.
Nope.
Cost?
Nope. Consciousness. What do you think this means?
Energy?
Energy, absolutely, energy. And equals R, what would R be? Absolutely, equals reality. Your consciousness plus your energy creates the nature of your reality. Now, let me prove this to you real quick. In life, have you always gotten what you wanted? Ooh, that was something. Did you always get what you wanted in life? No, right? Doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes it does, though, right? Did you always get what you needed? The answer is no. But sometimes you did, right? But let's really look at this really close. In life, what about this? Did you always get what you expected? Now, I'm not telling you what you told people you expected, but what you really expected in your heart of heart. If you really look at your whole life, the whole thing, really look at what you were feeling, not what you were thinking. I mean, you can think, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a millionaire. But you can't fool yourself, right? If you don't really feel that you're a millionaire, you can say you want to be a millionaire a billion times, it's never going to happen. But that feeling inside you, that feeling has always been right. It'll never be wrong. And I'm really not here to tell you to believe one word that I say, because everyone does that. Everyone says, I know what's going on, and listen to me, and let me show you the light and the way. That's not what I'm here to tell you or talk to you about at all. See, there's some things that I know about you guys not even really knowing you guys, and that is that you have greatness in you. You have talents and abilities in you that you don't even know you have, okay? That there's things that if you don't do, no one else is going to do them, period. You guys know what the richest place on the planet is? What do you figure?
Luxembourg.
It's up there, but no. Anyone else?
Just some currency, some money value?
No, not at all. Not at all, actually. You're a very smart cookie. The richest place in the world is the graveyards. Because in the graveyards, you will find ideas and dreams that never became a reality. All the people that said they couldn't do it, and they believed them. Or they went to the bank the first time, well, the bank says no. It can't be a good idea. It's all BS. The bottom line is, and what I'm really trying to get down to for you guys to get, is that inside you, not that voice that judges you, says you're not good enough, but the other one, that intuition, that calling that kind of pushes you in a direction, says, and that oddly, if you ever follow that intuition, everything, no matter what, always seems to work out. You ever notice that? If you follow that, you guys know what I'm talking about? If you follow that, somehow, some way, it always works out. That's what you should follow until the end of time. In fact, that's a requirement for anyone in my executive team, that you follow your intuition. So no one else is in your seat. So people can give you advice on all kinds of stuff, but they don't feel what you feel. They haven't lived from your position and your perception of reality. And there is nothing more important than your perception on reality. I know we're taught that, hey, there's nothing you can do as one human being. It's bullshit. It's not true. There is It is what one person can do. Look at a Gandhi, look at a JFK, look at the Wright brothers, look at Albert Einstein, look at Edison. What would have happened to our world right now if Edison would have been like, shit, I've tried this light bulb thing 9,999 times. It's just not going to work. And you would hear, you know what, Edison, you're right. You know what, you've tried it that many times. It's obviously no way to happen. But, you know, in less than 700 more tries to make it happen, we have the light bulb. Without that, we wouldn't have it. We'd be here in the dark with some candles, with a lot of different stuff to make sure the place didn't burn down. But, I mean, that's the kind of, you know, people say be realistic. Sure, if you want realistic life, then be realistic. I don't believe in being realistic. I believe in having a goal worth failing for. A dream so big that even if you never make it, that the whole rest of your life is worthwhile based upon the fact that you went for something. It doesn't take any energy, any life force to follow in the path. Always strive to get on the top because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. Okay, I know what it's like to be on the bottom. I've been it. I've done it. And I don't judge it. I'm very grateful for all the experiences that I've had in my life because they make me up who I am. And I've had experiences that you don't ever want to even experience. Like, you know, stuff that I would never wish upon my worst enemy. But those experiences have turned out to be gold for me. And you can throw the worst experiences in front of me, and it will turn into gold. Have you guys heard of attitude being like the most important thing? It is the most important thing. You take two people, the same experiences happen. One takes it and turns it into gold. One gets on a talk show and talks about, look what they did to me. Get a free trip out of the deal. And the rest of their life's garbage. The reality is, you can do anything. So, it's a nice thing to say. Well, how do we prove it? You got to judge a tree by the fruit that it bears in life, not the fruit that it talks about. We all hear a lot of talk. Everyone talks a good game. Talk. I'm talking right now. But it's the walk, right? Because by the fruits, you will know those people that are actually doing it. Because, hey, you have all the time in your life and you've had it. You can count on me, I'm there, and they won't show up. Oh yeah, we love you, da-da-da-da-da, and they're not there. It happens. I know what it's like to be in those situations where you think those people that should have your back and you've given everything to, and guess what? They're nowhere to be found. And then people that you would never thought in a million years would be there for you are. But life may not be fair. It's definitely not. But it's worth it. And it's worth every moment of it. And it's worth doing what is that song in your heart. Because if you're in this program and you're going, well, over here I can make this money and over here I can make that money or whatever, that's never going to make you happy. Eventually, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, you're going, oh my God, I'm doing this for the money. I'm not happy. What would you love to do 7 days a week that would put a smile on your face? That's what I had to look at. What I'm doing now with Vital came to me this way. I put out to the universe that I wanted to come to Kelowna. And I had a very interesting experience happen where a karmatic experience happened where I had 3 armed gunmen come into my house with 9mm. The next day I moved to Kelowna, make a long story short. But from that day forward, I said, never again will I not follow my intuition. Every day, for the rest of my life, I will follow my intuition. And my intuition said, you have been studying, just so you know a little bit about me, since about 15 years ago. I've probably been studying a minimum of 4 to 5 hours a day. But I've been studying 4 to 5 hours a day, every day, on the things that I want to learn in the world. I don't care about a degree. I don't care about a PhD. For me personally, I care that Dr. Roger Drinkwater's got a couple. and all that kind of stuff. But that was his passion, that was his dream. That wasn't my passion or my dream. My passion, my dream was to understand what's going on, understand myself, understand the world. So I really studied the world. My favorite thing is history. I love history. Of course, it's his story. It's written by those that won. And different versions come out. And I've studied history so much, I've read one history book, and it's completely different to another history book. And depending on where you are in the world will depend on who's writing what history or whatever. So the most important thing is what you think about these things. I am very careful to take other people's word for stuff. But one thing I did notice is the world was built in a certain way. And I really connected all these dots. And it really actually made me very, very angry. I was very, very, very angry. And I was probably going to get cancer. But what it came back to was this. So I went, if I focus on all this stuff, if I focus on the fact that Coca-Cola in 1 year could eliminate thirst and hunger off this planet, and we could all live in complete abundance and harmony, well, I'm only contributing to the problem. So what can I do to make that world become a reality that I want to see? So I went, where do I start? How do I start that? So I went, the most important thing, especially from a health standpoint, understanding health and wellness, understanding what we are, what everything is water. Water is something you need every day. It's something that is made up of everything. You can have no life without this stuff. Without this, you got nothing. So I went, this is what we have to start with. With the group of companies that we want to create, the most important thing is mastering this substance and bringing that to the world. Because you're made mostly of water. Everything's made mostly of water. The quality of that water is going to dictate a lot. So the reason why Vital Waters was the first one is that other groups of companies could not come. Like, how could I make you the most amazing deodorant or the most amazing shampoo or anything if I didn't master the #1 ingredient in those products, which is water, right? So that's why it's where I started. Now, how did I start that journey? I had no idea, okay? I moved to Kelowna on December 24th, 2008. My company in Calgary is called Body and Mind Inc., Solutions for the Whole Person. But I was like, okay, that's running itself. I can do all that. What am I going to do here? Okay, I want to get into water. Okay, follow your intuition. I'm psychologically unemployable. You're going to pay me what to do what? Excuse me? But I was like, okay, my intuition says I'm going to put together a resume. So I did that. I put together a resume. Walked into a water store called Purified Water Store in Small Plaza. I don't know if you remember that 3 or 4 years ago. I was in there. I walked in there and I said to the guy, I says, you got any jobs in stock? He says, no, business is not good. But I sat there and I talked to him for about 5-6 minutes. And I said, well, thank you for your time. And I went to walk out the door. And as I went to walk out the door, he says, hold on. You're not getting out the door. We'll figure out something. So for the next 9 months, I understood every aspect to the conventional water business. But because I'm an avid researcher and studier, I understood water. Some of the things that you probably don't know about water, water's alive and it has a memory. In fact, microchips are made out of water. Okay, that's what they are. So taking those kind of understandings and being willing to, start from scratch on this is where we came from. So after 9 months, I came to who's now one of my business partners, and I said to him, I got a proposal for you. Are you open to taking a look at it? He says, yeah. So I sat down, told them what my idea was, which was, look, the world is not run by countries anymore, it's run by companies. And I want to create a group of companies that is not about making the money, because everyone's about making the money. So this is never going to be a publicly held company, because as a publicly held company, your #1 mandate has to be
responsibilities to share shareholders.
Exactly. And then if enough money, you can buy up how many shares? Most of them. So eventually, if you have enough money, especially if you print it, you can buy it, anything that you want. So I didn't want to go public on it, and but wanted to bring it to the world. So basically, after an afternoon of an hour or two of talking to him, he says, "Let's do it. I'm in." And so that was the start. And we virtually started this company with virtually nothing. This is not about the money for me. Actually, did I not show you my T4 the other day?
Yes, you did.
How much was my T4 from last year from Vital?
2,200, something like that.
$2,200. This is our third year in business that I took out of the company. Now, I think this year I should take a little more than that. But the point is I'm not doing it for the money. Dr. Roger Drinkwater is not doing it for the money. Kevin Anderson, my legal counsel, is not doing it for the money. We're not doing it for the money. Chelsea, who's actually, sorry, not Chelsea, Chantal, oops, very bad, that's holding this camera right now, she's actually from the Vancouver Career College, and she's doing a 5-week practicum, but she can't start her practicum until April 15th. So she's here on her own ability because she really has a desire to, I think, change the world personally. And so I'll do what I can to help her do that. So, you know, instead of 5 weeks practicum, she's doing a 10-week practicum. But the point is we are able to attract the finest of the fine people to be involved in what we're doing. Does anyone have any idea what Vital stands for? What do you guys think of the commercials anyway? Are they cheesy? You hear them all? You ever? Anyway, Vital stands for vitally important to all life. Everything that Vital does has to be vitally important to all life. But not only does it have to be vitally important to all life, it also has to be vital for you and vital for the planet. Otherwise, we don't do it. We don't just do water, we offer 3 grades of water. We offer clean water, good water, and great water. We did not want to come out with our small bottles because we felt that the world should buy it in bigger bulk sizes and let's save the planet. But what we've noticed is that people want to save the planet as long as it's convenient. So what we've done is we've got a bottle that can be recycled 19 times. And you know, really came down to with what the technology that we bring to water has never been done before. And I can't technically talk about that because this is a public setting, but I'll just say that imagine a company that understands that the only thing by law that can cure disease is a drug. That's just the law. But if you could create water that could help the body in a lot of ways, it would now become a drug, right? Unless you didn't care about making the money on that. So anyway, just to say the least, our goal is to make the finest waters we can drink and sell them to you at prices that are equivalent to what other people are selling, what I would call weaponized water. And there's a lot of weaponized waters, weaponized foods out there, stuff that I would have no business putting in my body. If you knew what a lot of is in this stuff, and people go, well, it's regulated. Not really. You know, for example, that water right there has got arsenic in it. So if you like arsenic, yum yum. Nestle Pure Life. And I mean, a company like that has no bones about draining. Imagine if they were actually had a factory off Okanagan Lake, right? You'd have like a millimeter of water knocking on the door. Oh, we need to make our money. We're, you know, interested in our shareholders. You know, you guys got nothing, you can, come on, swim in the mud, you know. Unfortunately, with the way that our world has become, because people in politics, when they're not in politics, they work for these companies, right? So it's like, okay, well, we're in power this time, we'll get our agenda, and then we'll go work for, we'll make all our money in the private sector. and we'll get all the lobbyists and all that kind of stuff to do our bidding when we're not in power. Then the next time around comes and we're in power. Anyway, to me, politics, I don't really want to go there, but to me it's kind of like they agree about the things that matter and fight on the things that don't matter. You know, and I'm looking for a better world. In fact, I feel before I change form and leave this planet, we can have a planet where everyone has enough food to eat, everyone has enough water to drink, everyone has shelter, everyone has all their needs covered just for being a member. Hey, thanks for coming out, you know, you got all this covered. And, oh, what do you want to do? Well, why don't you try to figure out what is your passion? Why don't you figure out what your passion is so that you can work on that and bring that to the world? How about we do that? Because now we have inspired people. We have people that are doing things that that make things happen. You know, people that make, I mean, when you're inspired, like how does it compare to just, you know, towing the line? Is it not, is it different? Is it, or is it the same? What would you say?
It's definitely different. You definitely have more interest in something you're passionate about than something you're doing bare minimum.
Totally. But what do you figure in this world? Are most people not just doing the bare minimum?
I would say they are, yeah, pretty much are.
Right. I mean, and that's, I mean, what I mean, when I was young, there was like 13 channels on the TV with nothing on, and there was like 50 channels of TV programming. There's a reason why it's called programming, by the way.
So Joel, tell us more about the water. I want to know more about the water.
Sure.
Because I think, because I'm worried we're going to run out of time without
Sure.
knowing as much about your business.
Sure.
About what, because I think everybody uses water, but I don't think they know a lot about, you know a lot about water.
Okay.
And
So
about where you're trying to take water.
Okay, well, I mentioned to you that water is alive and has a memory. So you can affect that memory. So you can have a positive vibrational frequency when you drink your water, or a negative one. I actually saw a bottle of water the other day called Fear Water. And one of my friends drank some, and she said after she drank it, she literally puked. Now, she might have been drinking the night before, but anyway, it makes a good story. The point is, our goal is to understand water and bring the finest waters to the world. And so we offer clean water, which is 99.99% pure water, kind of like your Dasani there, but of a higher level of water than that. That's our low grade. We sell that stuff dirt cheap. Then we have a level of water called pH+. pH+ is ball at a pH of 8.6 and 40 on the alkaline scale. It's got things like your calcium and your magnesium in it. But of course, all our waters have a good vibrational frequency, which is the most important thing in your whole world, by the way. And then Himalayan Plus, which is bottled at a pH of 9.6 and 120 on the alkaline scale. So those, I mean, that probably sounds Greek to you, right? What does that really mean? Well, no disease can exist in an alkaline body, just so you know, not a one. But it's not very profitable for you to be healthy. I mean, it's just the reality of the world we live in. It's all about the money. So our goal is just to provide, you know, the finest quality waters. And we'll continue to work on a continual basis to make sure that we always have the finest technologies available, wherever available. And I think we'll do that to the end of time. Roger, anything you'd like to mention about our water?
Well, I'd just like to tie it in, if I could, just with the concept of social entrepreneurism, which this course is all about.
Yeah.
I think Joel's tapped onto quite a number of points, but two aspects from my perspective. One is the social aspect to this course, and the social aspect to Vital Waters. That embodies just how we work within the community and how we work in terms of our humanitarian output. To me, entrepreneurism, particularly when it's social entrepreneurism, has to be very, very in tune with the modern times with respect to how we relate to both our environment and to the community. And what we're attempting to do in the first instance, and the very first aspect that Joel and his group put together, was to ensure that Vital Waters interrelated with the community very strongly. So right from the outset, they set up Vital Mission, which is a charitable organisation which we work with. There's now 20 charity and non-profit groups. We work with very closely in terms of helping them to serve the community. So from my perspective, any company that I want to be associated with now has to have a very strong social aspect of Vital. The other is the concept of entrepreneurism, and whilst we can talk about being very social and being very interactive with the community, we still have to be a business and very much a commercial business, so that we can give as much as possible back to the community and really build that aspect to the company. So one, we have a very closely bound and very strong community interaction, but the other is we have a very strong commercial aspect as well. So what we want to be able to do is to take our wonderful product which Joel and his partner Chris have put together and turn that into a very strong commercial company, and that means taking it not only from the small outlet that we have developed initially here in Kelowna, but to look at an expansion program that takes it throughout the Okanagan and then through BC, Canada and into North America in the first instance. So whilst we are, have set a foundation that really looks at working closely within the local group, on the bigger picture we want to produce a company that has a very large national basis. And to me that's what entrepreneurism is all about. Taking a small idea, building the foundation and then putting in the commercialisation aspect to build something that's truly worthwhile.
I think we can eliminate yourself as a planet in 10 years. That's my goal. I think we can do it in 10 years. What's your favorite charity? Anyone? Got a favorite charity?
SPCA.
We just don't do the SPCA, and the reason we don't do it is I figure that we want to make sure that every homeless person has access to an unlimited supply of good and or great water before we start dealing with the pets. But we will hit them up eventually. Anyone else have a favorite charity?
Food bank.
Food bank. So the food bank gets an unlimited supply of water, of good water from us, for them, as well as all the people that are getting hampers are given an unlimited supply, as well as we are just, and we'll probably announce this in the next 2 months, 3 months, we've partnered with the food bank because we're offering these all-you-can-drink programs. And so the food bank is going to offer these programs, and we'll also give a percentage back to the food bank every month on these programs. So if your family for 25, 30, 35 bucks a month gets on an all-you-can-drink program, now you're covered as far as having all, the great water you can drink, but also you're giving back to the food bank. So the food bank and places like actually the Kelowna Gospel Mission, In From the Cold, Coach Cardiac, those 3 guys, for example, just nominated us as Corporate Citizen of the Year, which hopefully we'll get an opportunity to win that. But just a lot of cool stuff, and I think it's important that we are giving back. Now, we could not afford to give back, but we can't afford not to give back because it's right into the way that our company works. So when we had to look at how much we gave for 2011 because we got nominated, we went, oh my God, we don't even keep track of all that because we don't care about it's not one of those things like we're doing because we want that limelight. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Like when I went to the food bank initially and found out that they were paying for their water, I went, not for another day are you doing that? That's just not right. So, the other company was supplying them from the beginning of time and has been in business for over 100 years. But not for a second when they thought, well, maybe let's help out the food bank. So that's a very, very big, important aspect to what we do. We also do things like we have 12 kinds of organic, fair traded coffee that we roast here in Kelowna every single week from around the world, which makes it actually a powerful antioxidant and obviously the people that are involved in it are looked after fairly. Things like teas, we make everything from deodorant sticks to shampoo to lip balm. All these things are made in Kelowna without compromise. It was funny, I was at my hairdresser the other day, and I said, yeah, we got our own shampoo and stuff. It's edible. She's like, why would you want to eat shampoo? I said, why would you ever want to put something on your body that you wouldn't be willing to eat? Oh, the light bulb went on. You're so right. Well, yeah. Most number 2 ingredients of most products that you put on your body is toxic chemical that the company that's putting it in that product would have to pay millions of dollars to get rid of it, but they just sell it to another division of their company for 5 cents a gallon to turn a profit on it and put it in your product, and it's legal. But what I've learned, there's a lot of things that are legal that aren't right, and there's a lot of things that are illegal that aren't wrong. But that's just the way that it is. So our goal is, of course, to create a company that's vitally important to all life. And, you know, I'm probably one of the busiest guys I know. I nonstop all the time, go, 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 go. But I do it because I love it. I do it because what else would I do? I mean, you know, once you're sitting on the beach for 6 weeks, it kind of gets boring. How much drinking can we do? How much parties can we do? How many whatevers can we do? I mean, it's just once, you know, you just get to a level where, you know, it just doesn't matter anymore. Now it matters, like, you know, having a dream worth failing for. And I invite you guys to go after a dream worth failing for in your lives.
Joel, why don't we open it up, because we've got about 15 minutes left.
Sure.
Why don't we open it up to questions?
Yes.
You're talking about your water vibrates at a high frequency, and I've heard that term been thrown around before, and you said it was the most important thing. I just kind of want to have a grasp on that, if you could summarize it, and what you do, and like what would that mean?
Well, coming back to these 2 statements here, vibrational frequency is everything. Your eyes decode it when you see, your ears decode it for you to hear, touch, smell. Everything is vibrational frequency. In fact, through your eyeballs, just so you know, consciously you're seeing about 2,000 bits of information per second consciously. But your eyeballs, through your eyeballs, you're seeing about 4 billion bits of information per second, which means you only see what you expect to see. And, you know, someone else has their little imaginary friend. Who's he talking to? But they might very well see him. I'm not saying that they do or not, but it's quite possible. So everything is a vibrational frequency. That's what you are as a human being. You decode vibrational frequency. And that's why it's the key. And coming back to, you know, people say, I'll believe it when I see it. It's actually the opposite. You have to believe it to see it. And if you believe it, if you know it is that way, it's that way. Okay? And I've experienced that in my life. On many, well, it's how I live my life now. Is anyone who ever did anything on this planet had no idea how they were going to do it. None. Okay? They just went for it and did it, and the way became clear. Like, and vibrational frequency, here's an example. I know what it's like to look in a mirror at 185 pounds and think I'm grossly overweight. And hate myself. And be like, just like, can't really explain it except for the inside of me was just like broken and dirty and just like, I hated fat people, which meant I hated myself. And then I had to go to the other end of that and fall in love with that, to fall in love with myself, unconditionally. So I didn't have those conditions on myself. But that was a vibrational frequency. It's like when you look at this pretty girl, what are you talking about? You got no weight to lose. I'm fat. You see, it's all in their mind, right? And they think they're fat. They truly do. They look in the mirror and it looks, you know, and they do, but it's not the reality. Perception is reality. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, and I just wanted to know, like, what process, like, for your water, you say it's vibrating at a high frequency, and then there's that pure water that, you know, I'm assuming was a low frequency.
That was put out by Labatt's.
Okay.
Well, processes that we use, one, of many is we actually play music to our water.
Okay, I've heard about that. Like if you play music to plants or something in one room, like metal music in one room and then the other, or to the water, then you water the plants with it, then they'll die. And like, yeah, I'm very intrigued by this.
It's the most important factor, and it's the least looked at factor. But you're right. You are correct.
Our water doesn't listen to anything heavy metal. Just to clarify things. My apologies, I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm a little bit hoarse. But the important thing about Vital is you can buy water. Everybody should drink water. But you can buy water from Vital, knowing that Vital is taking the profits and putting them back into the community. That's the big issue. No one else that sells water does that to the extent that Vital does. That's the social component. The other thing that's really important is to understand the basics of water. And maybe if you could explain the useless reverse osmosis water versus alkaline water, because I'm not sure the audience understands the difference.
Sure. Let me explain to you. If you're drinking normal 99.9 pure water, the best water there is, your body has evolved with evolution over a period of time. That's part of it. There's another part of it that enters into it, but that has been true. Now, the way that we drink our water now, in the last 50 to 100 years, has never been done before. So what happens is, if you take everything out of your water, now your water leaches the minerals out of your body to be able to absorb into the body correctly. And all disease will flourish in an acidic environment. In fact, remember I was telling you how they make microchips out of water? What happens is that water is so pure, if you drink it,